Have you lost your job? Have you lost a loved one? Are you exhausted caring for your parents, for your kids? Well, you can find immediate relief when you read Sheila Mac's new #1 bestseller, Bootstraps and Bra Straps. It contains the Boots formula to move from rock bottom back into action in any situation, especially right now. If life has knocked you down, pick yourself up with Bootstraps and Bra Straps. Get your copy at www.sheilamac.com today.
Are you ready for a reboot? Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. History reminds us those hit hardest often become the change makers. This year, we've all hit crazy economic, social, and emotional rock bottoms. We all get knocked down. Something hits globally, locally, personally. It affects our health, finances, our relationships. We have to recreate a business or career. Each show, Sheila and her special guest will be sharing their reboot stories, guiding you with real solutions to upgrade and up-level emotionally, mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially. Here on NBC's KCAA Radio, Mondays at 1 and Wednesdays at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. If you're ready to pull yourself up by the bootstraps and bra straps, enjoy a listen. Here's Sheila.
Welcome to the Sheila Mac Show, reality at its finest. Here we have real people sharing real stories and actionable steps to help you reinvent, rebuild, and reboot your business and personal life on your terms. I'm your host, Sheila Mac, and today we have Tsao-Lin Moy. She is an alternative and Chinese medicine expert. She is the founder of Integrative Healing Arts in New York City, which utilizes acupuncture, herbal medicine, and energy healing to treat patients. Tsao has over 19 years of experience in alternative and Chinese medicine and is a licensed acupuncturist and herbalist. She's also the best-selling author of Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Getting Pregnant Naturally Over 40. Using her fertility protocols and Chinese medicine, she helps couples conceive naturally. Okay, and she is regular contributor for Mind Body Green and has been featured on Dr. Oz, The List, Good Day, New York, a whole bunch of other ones, and now the Sheila Mac Show. The show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. I'm very excited to be here.
And one of the things that this show was based on my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. And this last year, we've had so many different situations, and in our life, in everybody's life, we have tough situations that we sometimes face. So I'd love to ask you if you have a story maybe about your personal life or your business where you helped to overcome a tough situation and how you got back on track.
Okay. Well, I mean, we're all right now in a challenge, but I look at it as, earlier we were saying as kind of like a correction, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel very positive about it. What I can share is a story, from one of my patients very early on in my practice, which is really one of the reasons why I focus a lot on fertility, on women and fertility, because it is such a painful situation. And 1 in 8 couples struggle, to have a child. And so this woman, she was actually on the West Coast and was in New York for like a 6-month sabbatical. And she was 41. And really, she and her husband were going through their very last. They were like, okay, this is going to be our last IVF cycle. We're gonna try it in New York while they were here. And so she was coming to me from a colleague, and so I was treating her, talking with her, and she was taking the fertility drugs, the medication, and they told her, look, you like your eggs are not, it's not developing. They're not developing. And the physician actually, maybe, I don't know why he said it to her, was that, well, maybe you're just not meant to have a child, right?
Mm.
And this, I mean, she was she was good. I mean, she was good, emotionally strong. But, when someone in a white coat and a stethoscope kind of says that, it is really just devastating. And you're in the middle of going through a process, right?
Mhm.
So, really working with her, and and really it's to credit to her that she persisted and she continued. And one of the things that I had said to her was, well, first of all, if there is a God, right, that
Mhm.
person is not it. Nothing is, I mean, there's truth that's out there, and for everyone, there's statistics, there's truth, but the question always is it your truth? Right? Because we always look at numbers, we look at things, and then we decide to make meaning and we accept it. Is that really true or it's not?
Mhm.
And I said, look, we're going to do these treatments and let's see what happens. And she saw me on the Friday because, she'd been told this. Her next appointment was the Monday, and Monday, guess what? 3 eggs had developed. And so they did the retrieval.
Wow.
And they said, okay, all 3 were able to fertilize. And one of them, they said, like, wow, but this one is perfect.
Mhm.
And what happened? She had a baby. She had a healthy baby. And really is this important is this, like the mind shift is really to know somehow that no matter what someone is saying, that there's internally that. And one of the privileges that I've had over the last 19 years is really, being facilitating for the people that are coming and wanting healing. And the healing process is within them. So I help them. And they are the heroes of the journey that they're taking. And so this is a big part, like overcoming adversity is to really, look at what is really happening here and then taking action. So she just believed. I mean, we're like, oh, if she just believed that, maybe she would have energetically given up. She would have, and the fact is really we need to recognize that it's from their perspective and then really, take in what is, I would say, relevant, or what in turn you feel is true for you. And a lot of it isn't. And so it creates that dissonance of that's not really me, but they're the expert. Right. And so
Wow.
that was
That's
very exciting.
Yeah, that is. And, that is something that I know for myself. I have 6 children. Well,
Wow.
what happened?
Woman.
I had one. And then I was told by doctors that that was it. It wasn't working out and I couldn't have any more children. So I came out of the foster care system as a young child. So I wanted to give back. I was already mentoring at a girls' home. So I ended up adopting 3 other children. Then guess what happens? I got pregnant back to back with 2 other children. So I have 3 of my own and 3 that were fostered to adopt. And I almost feel like it was a soul contract that those other 3 came into our lives and our family. And it was just meant to be that way. And there's I mean, it wasn't like I did anything myself differently, but it was just the timing of it was right. And I didn't ever let go I never really let go of the belief that I was going to have 3 children of my own, physically, birth 3 children. And it was true because even as a young girl, I was like, I know I'm going to have 3 of my own children. I will probably have more children. I'll have a big family. And that was exactly what happened. So the doctors don't always know everything that's supposed to show up and occur in life, for sure. I totally agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's really, it's interesting that there's this knowing that there's more. And I have to say, again, for as long as I've been practicing, that I've seen that, fertility is more than hormones and biology. There's more there. And we cannot push that aside. I mean, science likes to kind of like keep it, in one category. But there's something else. There's that substance.
Mm-hmm.
And really, that is like that kind of knowing that you're like, okay, that can happen. Like anything is possible, right? If we can hold that possibility open, that's creative energy, right? And women are these vessels for creation to come in. So long as we know that is possible, then we're ready to receive. It's so possible. And I've seen it so many times. And really, when you are with physicians that have been around for a really long time, and even like an oncologist, you can say, isn't it true that some people just spontaneously heal? And they go, yeah, that is true. And they don't know why. So I think we really need to look at, how we look at, our world around us. Right. And yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, I personally believe doctors are incredible. I love my doctors. It's great to have checkups, and especially before things get serious, to go in and know what something is going on so you can course correct. You can have wellness choices, whatever you can do to get ahead of something. But then there's the whole other aspect of wellness and different things that you can do to enhance wellness and just enhance maybe longevity or the quality of life that you have. And I know that you do acupuncture, and I was mentioning before we got on the show that I also go to my acupuncturist once or twice a month, and I do the cupping and I get the acupuncture treatment, and I've done that for many, many years. And I can go back to as far as when I was 18 years old was the first time I was actually working at Jet Propulsion Lab, which was a big deal. It was
Wow.
to get a job there. I was programming. It wasn't the job for me, but I was good at what I did because I needed the money. I was a young parent, and I got rear-ended by a semi-truck. The guy was on drugs and alcohol, passed out in the steering wheel, and there was no way to get away from this truck. And so the car was totaled, and they took me away, in the ambulance, and they told me, you're going to be disabled for probably a year or two. And I was like, but I can't not go to work. I just got this really good job. Young people, I guess maybe if I was older, I'd be like, oh, great, I'll take time off. But I didn't want to, and I didn't want to be in pain. I was so stiff and sore, obviously. And so I did alternative medicine, and I went to an acupuncturist probably the second or third day. I think it was maybe the third day because I was so stiff. Took a few days to be able to get in a car again. And I had somebody drive me there. And within 2 weeks, I was back at work. Holy smokes. And I still went in for treatments, and I did some other things, and it really made a difference. And obviously because I was so young, probably that helped. But I mean, that definitely helps. It's really one of the things with Chinese medicine, which includes like acupuncture, the zodiac. It's also meditation, food, exercise, massage, herbs, all of these different things. Is the focus is on longevity, right, and cultivating health. And so the time to really treat something is going to be like now, right? And so you were like going at the time that you did was in that window of when the body is activating, we got to heal, right? So we know that there after, 3 weeks, 6 weeks, that if something is not resolving, it goes into like kind of a chronic phase, and the body kind of just
says, all right, we'll just put, we'll make it so you can walk okay, and then that's it, we're done, and not necessarily fully healed. But when you're in that window of where the body is looking to really like heal everything, right, then what you're doing is you're helping it, you're guiding it. The acupuncture guides it, the herbs kind of guide it, like just help it along. And so that's like a really big, it was like the timing of it was great that you did. And yes, being young helps a lot, right? Because you've got you don't have a long history of like illness or, abusing your body or something like that. So
yes. So and I've been going ever since. Like that's been like, okay, well, if this hurts or that hurts, I'll go there first and see, and then I'll go to my doctor if something continues or whatever, and I'll do my checkups. But it's really made a difference in my life over the years, I think. And I think it's just a great thing that's been around for, I think, longer than most doctors, American medicine.
Way, way long. I mean, the what we call like the Yellow Emperor's Classic is the like the first written book, and there's one even a little bit older, and that they look at that it was written around 250 BC, right? Which means, and it was compiled most likely by a group of authors. So we look at if that was when it was written, but the medicine is so much older, and really that it's got thousands and thousands of years of evidential, cases and data. So when we come up against like what science, if they don't understand it within their filter of the way that they look at it, they kind of go, oh, it's pseudoscience, it's not real. But we've got so much evidence that it works. And it's just not fitting into their, the lens that they're looking at, because they need it to be a certain way in order, for them to look at it. And then instead it looks like, well, maybe it helps. But really we have to look again at the model. What's the model? The model of health is really, using everything, not just like one ingredient in isolation. Right? Because that's not the way the world is. We're influenced all the time by our environment and what we do, what we think, how we think about things. Right? We've got this powerful, our mind, right? Not our brain, but our mind.
Yes, and I think about when you say you take and do a lot of different things together, it's a combined effect, and it's your whole body. So if you have one piece of your body, one part of you is, maybe it's the fertility situation or something else is going on. It's a whole system. It's not just that one part of your body that's compensating for that situation, or that's why that situation shows up. So to be able to treat the whole body makes a big difference. And I can't help but think of Tony Robbins and how he says you need to take massive action. You want to get the best results, you need to take massive action. So if when you want to heal better, you got to go take massive action. And I've done that many times with different. I tore a meniscus, my knee. And they said, well, you have to go have surgery. And I was like, okay. I was traveling full time and enjoying myself. And I really didn't want to be out of capacity and commission for 3 to 4 months. And that's what they told me was going to happen with this knee surgery, which then I looked at the studies, and I think it was like more than half of the people had absolutely no difference in their knee. And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. Right. And I actually did a combined thing for myself where I went and I did stem cell therapy. This was back in 2012 when not a lot of people heard about stem cell therapy. So I did stem cell therapy and I did cryotherapy when it first came out, and I did acupuncture. And I was back within a month, jumping up and down, and I was still walking. There was never a downtime. And so it really did make a difference. But I took that massive action, And I didn't take drugs or painkillers. I wanted to feel my limitations so I didn't overdo it. If I thought that if I masked it with a lot of drugs, I wouldn't feel where to stop. And so I did it my own way, and I haven't had any other treatment since. Now that was what, 2012, and now
9 years already. Yeah.
I'm still fine. And so never had that surgery.
Well, you have the beauty and the experience to trust, and then also if you're receiving acupuncture twice a month or other body work and doing things like meditation and exercise, that you've developed this mind-body connection. So you can actually feel within yourself what feels right. And kind of going back to that story about that woman, that a big portion of her healing was really like feeling, you kind of feel in yourself, is that true or not? Right? Because once we say like, oh, someone else knows so much better than we do, then we also give up our power. Then we're kind of that ability that we have, right? So, and also there's the, getting back to what you were saying, like taking massive, or Tony Robbins saying, taking massive action is, like for instance, if someone is struggling with fertility is a symptom of, one symptom of the body maybe not being in alignment or out of balance. And something like an injury, we know if someone sprains their ankle, naturally it will resolve in like 3 to 4 weeks to kind of like to heal. If it's not happening, then there's some other aspect internally with their immune system or some other thing that is then inhibiting the natural healing process over time, right? So we don't necessarily expect the next day or 100%, but we do expect after a certain period of time that it'll heal. And so these like pseudo chronic conditions usually come from underlying, like deeper things that are not being addressed or kind of are ignored and long term. And that's why that connecting to your body and like really knowing, like, are you feeling okay or you're not feeling okay? So that's important, right?
Listening, really listening makes a difference. And I think honoring sleep, I think a lot of us, especially moms, we tend to do so much, working moms, and you taking care of your kids, you have the baby, you went through the fertility, you have the children now, and you've got so much on your plate, and we say yes to everything, and we don't do our sleep. And then you go to a personal trainer, the first thing they'll tell you, I just went to the personal trainer and said, okay, we got to get rid of the COVID weight. And they tell me, okay, you have to rest. You have to have days off. There's arm day, and then there's leg day, and then there's a rest day, and then there's this day, and there's that day. And if you don't rest, the rest is where we recover.
Right.
Or we study neuroscience, neuroplasticity. The rest day is where the learning actually takes effect. Our brain rewires not when we're studying, but afterwards when we rest.
Sure.
And so that's something we kind of, as a society, rest is frowned upon.
Oh yeah, your body is doing so much when you're sleeping. It's like they think about, oh, I'm not doing anything and it's not that important. But, sleep is where your brain is able to regenerate. And when we don't get enough sleep, even one night of not sleeping well, that they know that the chemicals in the brain, you start to develop the amyloid plaque. It's the chemicals which are associated with things like Parkinson's. So sleep is really important, and long-term sleep deprivation linked to things like dementia, right? And also not sleeping, definitely hormonal imbalances, and that affects with fertility, right? And women, women's health has a lot of hormones related to, menopause and bone and emotionally, like feeling with depression or other like anxiety and stuff too.
Yes, and this year I think more than, or this year slash last year. So for the last 12 months, let's say with the universal pause, reset, pandemic, whatever we want to call it or refer to it as, during this time, there has been so much stress and anxiety, not having even the outcome. We're just barely figuring out our election political process outcomes. And so there's so much that has caused anxiety, depression, stress. Do you have tips for people listening in to help them cope with this type of stress and anxiety so it doesn't affect the health?
Oh, yeah. Well, one thing is you have to like get off of social media, except for watching your show, right? There is the recognize and actually maybe clear your cache with regard to the computer because anything that you've looked at or read, then what'll happen is the algorithm keeps on sending you more and more sensational headlines. And so that's important, that I think is like one thing, so they don't keep jumping in front of you. And really consciously look at, what is positive. What is positive? Like you turn whatever it is into positive. Even this cosmic correction that we're in, what's happened is that, people now are spending more time with family. They are realizing, how important certain things are, spending time with their children, with education, recognize, how important health really is. And, in this country, we're extremely unhealthy. A lot of overweight, we don't eat well, poor sleep, right? These are all of those, the obesity, diabetes, heart disease, all of the comorbidities that have been showing up as deadly. It's just like a really fast forward. And so we have an opportunity to do something about it now, right? And hopefully that this is something that will, be not to be afraid of, but to really take action, like that massive action. Like now is the time. Like do some jumping jacks in your living room. Yeah. You got to think about drinking water. Like lots of things that we were kind of like, oh yeah, taking for granted, or oh yeah, if I have time, I'll exercise, or oh yeah, I always wanted to lose weight, and so the time is now to do that. And it's literally, we've been in lockdown, right. And we hope that because this is such a strong message, that's universal, everyone's doing the same thing. They're concerned about their health, that it's going to shift for people to making change and taking personal action and also personal responsibility, right? We're very fortunate that there's been a very, fast response that was already being, researched to start making a vaccine. That there's so many, and it's the whole world is doing it. The whole world right now is taking some steps, and then we get to have the privilege to see what's working, and also we can take action ourselves. And so this is, we don't have to wait for the next, next time something comes around. We have to be ready. We have to know that it is possible. They've been waiting for another 1918 flu to hit. They've been like, oh, could this be it? Could this be it? Yeah. One of the things that even before that was polio. And that was devastating. People were afraid to leave their houses for 10 years. For 10 years, right? And there was no vaccine. It took 40 years or something. And so we that health crisis helped us to develop, we'll say us in general, to develop things now that could prevent something like polio, prevent something like smallpox, right? So we have to look at this, what we're in is also going to help prevent something in the future.
Yes, and I know I was raised partially by a grandmother who lived through, she was born in 1908. So she lived through that first Spanish flu and the Great Depression. And then my mother actually contracted polio as a child. And she was exposed to some other things that were pretty bad. I forgot what it is, that one that you get the really bad cough. She was a nurse.
Whooping cough? Was it whooping cough?
No, it's another one. Forgot what it is right now, but it's a bad thing. So you have to get a chest x-ray, and they always test you when you work at schools for this.
TB?
Yes, she got that. So she tests positive for it, but she's negative, but it's because of the exposure being a nurse.
Right.
And so, and she had polio and you know, and so there was so much. And I remember my grandmother telling me about all this stuff and thinking, we're better than that. We are so much, you know, like we are scientific now, and this is not possible because we are advanced. We wash our hands. You know, we have grandma did not have running water when she was a little girl. So we have all these advancements. You know, we know about germs and treatments. We'll never, ever have such a thing as this Spanish flu or something, a big pandemic. And here we are. So grandma was right. And there are many gifts in it for myself and my family. I know that my youngest son had passed away. He had a heart condition, Wolff Parkinson White. And so he passed away at the age of 22 in December. And my daughter moved home with me. And then the pandemic hit. And the other kids, you know, they're a little older, so they'd come over. And she says, Mom, if ever we needed a universal pause, it was this year for our family to heal. And we have had the best family times and we thought, okay, we needed so many months. We needed more time. And we needed to be able to have these long walks and long conversations and be present for each other. And so, I mean, out of the mouth of my youngest daughter, she's like, oh, we needed this. And we're all like we're a type A kind of family. We're all working, going to school, all this. And yet we appreciated it. And it's really blessed us as a family. And as a mom, I have a couple of the kids that are the colleges, the dorms are closed and they're home because they're all grown. And so the youngest are home. And you know what? I'm like, this is such a gift of time that we usually don't have these times. We're so busy and we've got to, you know, you've got to go to school, you've got to go to work, you've got to do all these things. And we never make time, as much time as we'd want. And so I'm having a great time during this. I confess, Mom.
Sounds terrible. I mean, it's like for other people that probably go, what? I mean,
yeah.
I have a daughter who she's in her first year of college and University of Toronto, but you know, waiting for her visa, waiting, and then travel restriction. So she has been, you know, attending as an engineering student from her bedroom, right? Yes. And I said, you know, you've got laundry,
right?
You have like food on the table. You've got good internet because a lot of her friends overseas, they're in their, you know, some of them are in their dorm rooms, but they have terrible internet, right? So they're trying to even attend these hybrid situations.
Right.
And they say like, we have like excellent, you know, like we've got all of these things plus being in New York City. You know, people are wearing masks. You can walk outside, walk to the East River, you know, like there's open space. Mm-hmm. And if she were in a dorm situation as a first year, she would be navigating, I guess, roommates, the food service, class time, social things, living in a new city, like all of those things aside from studying, right? And those are the things that can become a distraction and make it hard to, have a very successful first year at college, like away from home.
Mm-hmm.
And so I said to her, I said, like, actually, I think probably your first year being home is also what has helped you to, you have this support. Although, of course, she's missing out on, meeting new people and that whole aspect of university. And at the same time, has like immense support for a first year at college.
Yes. So, I mean, it is, there's pluses and minuses, because definitely the social aspect of being on campus, that whole thing, I know that my kids miss that. They actually were on campus for January, February, and then March. Everything closed down. So that was what they did. And it was not enough time to really get to know a lot of the other friends. But now they both do outside of the house part-time work. And, they have to wear masks. They're not there full time, but they don't need to work. They're working because they need to work for their mental sanity. So that's what it's true. So it's cute, but it's something. So it is important to get out of the house every day.
Absolutely. Get some vitamin D. I mean, even before that, I'm someone who will have to walk outside and walk around the block. I have to look at the sky and really, take some air in, and just not feel so cooped up. Right. Just for, and, people are already, I mean, I would say, the younger generation is accustomed to having these, relationships online. They're all online using Discord, or before that was Snapchat and Zoom, and they have their Netflix night where they're all watching movies together. So I would say the younger people are actually pretty well adapted to some of this, the virtual world. I actually like to see people in person. I like to pick up the phone and call them and not text them. It's like, all right, the texting, I'm like, I'm just going to call. We're back and forth texting.
Right. Yes. Yes. And I'd love to hear, you had mentioned earlier about numerology playing a part in acupuncture. How does that work?
And the zodiac? Yeah, the zodiac. Okay, so the zodiac is based on 12 different zodiacs, and they correspond to the 5 elements. And so if you're acupuncturist, so acupuncture points also correspond to, we call it like elements, like fire, earth, metal, water, and wood. Right? And the meridians also correspond to elements as well. And so with the zodiac is really like when you were born. Like, for instance, I did a Facebook Live for the American Acupuncture Council on Wednesday, and I talked about the year of the ox that we're coming into. So which is on February 12th. And the ox is a earth sign, right? You can imagine it's like very earth. But our element for this year, as it starts to go around, is a metal year. So we are looking at a metal ox or a golden ox. So we're going to be under this influence for the energy of this year. And so that is, the ox is associated with agriculture. So we're sowing the seeds for the future. So the idea we're going to be needing to get to work, right? We've got to plow the field. The energy of the ox is very reliable, very honest, and hardworking, right? Also can be a little bit stubborn, right? But they're great in terms of, having a plan. Think they plow the fields in a line, And one of our, famous Year of the Ox people was Barack Obama. He was pretty steady, like, this is the plan, this is what we're going to roll out. And then, so with the Chinese zodiac, they've got, the 12 zodiac, and then depending every 12 years, it comes back to the animal zodiac, but then the element of the year will change. So then after 60 years, we come back to exactly our year and element of when we were born.
Oh, wow.
The 60-year cycle. And the zodiacs are based on the traveling of Jupiter around the sun, which is just about 12 years in a 12-year cycle. So wherever that is. Yeah. And so we look at, when someone is, how does that influence their health?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So certain signs are going to have more strengths and more weakness. So an ox is has a very robust health. They're very strong and robust, but then also they could be susceptible to overeating and other things, right? Or other things like heart disease, right? So we start to look at like what, it's not exact,
Mm-hmm.
but we look at some of the aspects that are within the person. And we hold all of those elements within us, right? So the zodiac is a very esoteric aspect of Chinese medicine, just like feng shui is also too. We're looking at the art and science of placement and how the energy flows in our environment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And how that influences us. Definitely research about, sick buildings or the way offices are organized and the way seating is and how people are have with the, mental illness. So that's why if you have a window, it's much better. If you're in a place that has no windows, they have a lot of depression, right? So designing your space so that you have the energy flow. And that helps with your health too.
Yes, that's really important. I just learned about the money corner, and so I've been clearing every corner.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, there was something that I did, a thing on like the fortune frog and, kind of different things that you can get to shift the energy and bring in prosperity and abundance, right? Mm-hmm. And it is really also an idea of manifestation. So you can create your manifestation, you arrange your environment for success, right? And so that we know when you got a clean desk and your corners are cleaned out and not a lot of clutter, then you're not using that energy to focus on the clutter or push it out, that you're actually able to have space to allow things to come in.
And now 2020 was the year of what?
You're the rat.
Well, there you go. That's exactly right. Now about that.
Rats are very resourceful. I mean, that's the thing. Like with all the zodiacs, they've got, attributes, right? And so rats are very resourceful. They can squirrel things away, they can save. And so, that energy, a lot of us have been able to, let's say, survive, right? Because rats can live anywhere. They're, we look at like, that they're very clever, right? And I think we've all had to be a little bit clever this year.
Yes, isn't that interesting? So we are on to a new cycle, and that's on the 12th of February.
The 12th of February it starts and through January 2022 to the 30th. And really the energy is like we need to just like get to work, plan for the future, think about like no shortcuts, no, like really like be focused, create a plan and take action, take some massive action.
Yes, I totally feel that energy this year. That's great.
Yeah.
I love that. I already feel that energy showing up. So it's on its way. How exciting. That's great. And I'd love to hear a little bit about your book, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Pretty,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay, so the book I wrote is
Mhm.
Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally Over 40. And what I wrote in the book is it's not about do acupuncture points, what to eat. Like there's very little of that part. There's some of it. The guide is really an aspect of the what I do best in my practice. When I work with someone one-on-one, there's more than just putting needles in or giving an herbal formula. That there's really, how are we harnessing this creative energy? How can we do that mind shift so that you are receiving this abundance where we can like move out all that other clutter and really, as you said, you always knew you were going to have 3 children, like somehow you knew. And that's tapping into that universal energy and that creative energy and allowing it to come through. And most of the time when women come to see me, they've already been through like rounds of fertility. They've had miscarriages. They have had failed cycles. Maybe they had underlying illness. Like they've been around for a while. And so, but when they come and see me, they're really beaten up and beaten down. And so this is like, okay, we, kind of like the year of the ox, we need to get to work and really like get rid of all that past stuff. And also a lot of times there's like family dynamics and other things, the way we think, and we need to like organize our life in a way to allow this to happen. And so that is what I talk about in the book a lot, of really like, this is how you focus. This is how we're going to get step by step to where you want to be. And, women come at different stages, right? And I often say, they may go, oh, I already know this. I know how to track my cycle. Or I already do that. And I really say, like, if you do, you may know how to do it, but it's important to review this, right? Because oftentimes, as soon as we say, oh, I know how to do that, we're very dismissive and we could be missing something. As I'm sure you know that you could hear the same thing over and over, but then like the next time you hear it, it's suddenly like, wow, oh, now I understand. And so part of that is that a lot of times some of the information seems the same, but it's not the same. And so really what I talk about is, like also in my book, I have that story where you have to kind of like, all right, when the doctor tells you this thing, that you still need to do some work and to be really clear about your intention and recognize that a lot of the information that you're receiving, that you research online, such as statistics, you got to look at, those are other people's numbers, right? And so how does it really apply to you? There's always you are not them. And so this is like something to hold on to and move forward, and not let that be like, oh, but they said I'm over 35. Oh, because if you hold on to that, then you're not going to move forward. And bringing awareness, like that's part of it, right? And that's the aspect which is more than the biology and the hormones, that all of these things have to come together.
Beautiful. And so if people want to work with you, maybe visit your clinic or get your book, how do they connect with you?
Okay. Well, you can connect with me on Instagram. I don't know if I have it in the thing, at Tsao-Lin Moy, and also my website. If someone there, it's to click on the website, www.integrativehealingarts.com. My book is on Amazon, and so it's pretty easy to get and to download. But you can always email me, or I think you'll have the link, right? I think I might have given you, I can give you the link for the book also.
So that'll be shared. And then What is the name of the book again?
Will I Ever Get Pregnant? The Smart Woman's Guide to Get Pregnant Naturally Over 40.
Beautiful. Okay, perfect. All right. Thank you. And then are you still seeing patients in New York?
I am. We are Essential Health. And yes, I do see patients. Of course, as I was saying before, I've been wearing a mask all day. And yes, so of course, caution, people, if they have any symptoms, obviously they cannot come into the office. I'm pleased to say that I got a vaccine. My other colleague got a vaccine. It's important that we can provide a safe space for people, right?
Yes, that's great. All right. Well, thank you again for being a guest on the show. And for those listening, stay tuned. We'll be back after these messages.
Thank you.
This is a great time to redesign your life on your terms and to reinvent your life on your terms, to decide what success means to you now. And it may be different. This year may have you thinking about a different way, a different lifestyle that you want. There's a lot of people that are moving away from big cities. Some people are moving to big cities. I know that I've moved one of my main homes, the main home, away from a big city. And that was actually something I did intentionally before the universal pause, before COVID was a thing, before we even heard about it, and really close to it. It was in October of 2019 that I had made this choice. And it was really to be in a place where there is a lot of event space and places where I could do tons of live events. And so much for that, because we haven't had any live events since. And that's something I do really hope that we get back to at some point. But until then, I have been able to travel the world virtually. And I have events online in Australia, South Africa. I've had events in London. I've had events in all over the United States that have gone national and international online. So the way my thinking about events, how I do events, has changed. And I'm very grateful that I did relocate to a space where that's available. Yet there's also nature and different things that I personally wanted for myself and my family to be able to enjoy, lakes and hikes and swimming and all these great things. So this year, coming up on New Year's, maybe it's a birthday too, create a definite plan for carrying out your desire and beginning at once, whether you are ready or not, to put this plan into action. A reminder from Napoleon Hill. And I can promise you one thing: you are going to get people, family, friends, loved ones, that when you declare, when you make a public declaration and you say, I am going to do X, Y, or Z, this is my goal, this is my plan. When you say something or you start working toward a plan or a goal, you're going to get some pushback. That I can promise you. And that's going to be out of love, out of protection, sometimes it's out of jealousy or concern. It doesn't matter. You've got to go with your definite plan. And listen to your personal desire, not what somebody else wants for your life, not what maybe you wanted years ago as your success or happiness or whatever that goal or outcome is, whether that's for business or your personal life. This is your time. You can take your power back and your life back this year, going into 2021. This is something, obviously, it's something that needs to happen right now, as soon as possible. It doesn't even have to wait until the 31st of December. or the 1st of January to be put into place. It needs to be put into action as soon as possible. Now, I think this is a beautiful time and space for us to have those moments. Well, maybe a lot of us are on the holiday vacation time, and you might have some time off from work. It's a great time to take advantage of that space and do that planning. Plan your action steps. Make your decisions. Think about what you're going to do. And so that is really going to give you different results. It doesn't matter what the world is doing as much as what you've decided to do. And that's another Napoleon Hill concept, and that's definiteness of purpose. Once you have the definiteness of purpose, the definite decision has been made, and you plot your course of action. Yes, you may have to course correct. We don't know what surprise is next. That's okay, because as long as you are moving forward, that is going to make all the difference. I also would like to invite those who are interested in an accountability and group program. I am offering a lifestyle design program. It is, yes, I want to reinvent my life on my terms. It is guided by me personally. It's an engaging online training that will help you reboot and reinvent an area of your business or personal life. And while we go through the Upgraded Life program, you'll notice that the tools, accountability, friendship with the other members will help you as you learn to apply the Boots formula to help you live your life, a more meaningful life on your terms, and get even more happiness while you're participating in your redesign process. I will be guiding you each step of the way to living life and doing business on your terms. So these are small group courses, and this course is actually going to be 50% off. It is a 1-month course. We meet weekly, and there's 2 different times that you can meet, either during the day or an evening time. It's Pacific time. It's live. There's also email response back and forth during the week to help you personalize your lifestyle design. So I'd love to work with you on that. It's a great, affordable way to get into a group setting where you keep each other accountable, and I would love to work with you. So if you are interested in that, go to SheilaMac.com, and there you will see lifestyle design. I want to reinvent my life on my terms, and it is going to be marked at half off. So I'm looking forward to that, and that there's also a free gift for you. And anybody that's signing up for the course or not, if you go to the SheilaMac.com, you will see there is a small mini course. This is a recorded video course that's the introduction to the Boots formula. This is something to watch to get an idea for the Boots formula and how to apply it to your life goals or your business goals for this year. All right, now don't forget, creating a definite plan for carrying out your desire needs to begin at once. So think of 2 ways you can get started now. And now we are going. So here it is, my latest book. I have to let you know something, just between you and me. This book is not one size fits all, just like a pair of boots or a bra. So the formula is designed to help you through any situation. For you to grab a copy of my new best-selling book, Bootstraps and Bra Straps, the formula to go from rock bottom back into action in any situation. It is now available on Audible as well as on Amazon and Kindle, and at www.sheilamac.com.